Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football, taking a deep dive into this Auburn program and talking about two things. One, what we saw from this Auburn team against Maryland in the bowl game. And the more important conversation for Auburn fans is what does Auburn need to do heading into 2024 to kind of take those next steps? Really excited to get into this one. And for Auburn fans, many of you guys who've been listening for the last couple of months know how optimistic I am about Hugh Freeze and what he's going to do with this program. And you saw some things that you really liked from Auburn against Maryland, but we also saw some obvious things that need to get better heading into 2024. Obviously, bringing in a phenomenal recruiting class in the 2024 class. And Hugh Freeze is going to get active in the transfer portal. Things are going to change. Want to talk about some of those things that we want to see Auburn address in the offseason. Before we get into it, just want to say, thank you to you guys, and a special shout out to the Auburn fans. Many of you guys know this is a program that I've loved talking about. The amount of support you guys have shown, whether we're talking high school recruiting, whether we're talking transfer portal, it truly has been amazing. Cannot thank you guys enough. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. And more importantly, going to talk about where Auburn needs to go next. We're going to talk about the quarterback room. Would love to hear what you guys think in the comment section regarding Auburn addressing the quarterback room in the transfer portal, because it's been a widely debated topic among Auburn fans, and would love to hear what you guys have to say about that. Without further ado, let's get into first what we saw from Auburn against Maryland. And starting on the offensive side of the football, and the biggest thing that stuck out to me, and I rewatched this game this morning, was, yes, the quarterback play from Peyton Thorne was not nearly good enough to win a football game. The thing that was most concerning for me was the lack of confidence the Auburn coaching staff, Hugh Freeze, Philip Montgomery, have in Peyton Thorne. I mean, Peyton Thorne did not complete a pass 10 plus yards down the field all day. And the Auburn staff, after having 15 bowl practices, multiple weeks to kind of work on this offense and find some schematics and some schemes that you think you can have success with, it was completely watered down. It lacked any sort of aggression. And my biggest concern is that kind of tells you what this coaching staff thinks of a quarterback like Peyton Thorne. I mean, not asking him to push the ball down the field, not asking him to attack the middle of the field, middle of the field and kind of that deeper third, not really attacking the boundaries. They did not ask Peyton Thorne to do much to elevate this Auburn offense. And the reason that concerns me so much is that coaching staff, they're the ones that see Peyton Thorne in practice in the 15 bowl practices. They're the ones running the meetings with Peyton Thorne. And to come out and show that you have almost no confidence in Peyton Thorne to run an offense that can be explosive and that can be dynamic, I think is a massive problem. And you look at Peyton Thorne in his play, you saw many of the same things that he struggled with and was inconsistent with the first 12 games of the season, right? Locking on to his first read and not going through his progressions, not delivering accurately and on-time balls. There was very little rhythm when Peyton Thorne was running this offense. And obviously with the run game not really taking off, they had to lean on Peyton Thorne. And Peyton Thorne just wasn't that quarterback that was able to elevate and kind of get the best out of this Auburn offense. And that's something that we talked about heading into the season, right? Peyton Thorne was a quarterback at Michigan State that had a ton of success when he had a good run game with Kenneth Walker, and he had some dynamic playmakers on the outside in that 2021 year. And in 2022, when they couldn't have the run game, Peyton Thorne was a quarterback that struggled in a meaningful way. And we said if Auburn and Peyton Thorne are going to have success in 2023, the run game was going to need to be successful. And when you see that run game not working for Auburn, you see Peyton Thorne really not being able to get much out of this offense. And you look at Peyton Thorne, evaluate what you saw from 13 games of this season. When I look at it, there's not a ton of optimism that Peyton Thorne is going to be the guy to elevate this Auburn offense in 2024. Now, evaluating the other quarterback play, Holden Garner, very similar struggles, right? No rhythm. The offense isn't being operated very efficiently and explosively. The one thing that you're really excited about for Auburn fans is true freshman Hank Brown, who came in and kind of provided you with what you were looking for from that quarterback play, right? Sitting in the pocket, going through his progressions, the ball coming out on time accurately to receivers that had space. And the most important thing I saw from Hank Brown was the poise of a true freshman. And this was a guy that was running the scout team most of the year. He comes in and looks like he's run this offense all year. And a thing that I really liked from Hank Brown was he's accurate with the football. One of the things Peyton Thorne has struggled with meaningfully is not only missing his targets, but not throwing his targets to have the ability to work after the catch. And you think about that example of Peyton Thorne rolling out Rivaldo Fairweather in the flat with some room to operate, and Peyton Thorne throws it at his knees where Rivaldo Fairweather has to address to the football and not really have the opportunity to work after the catch. Hank Brown throwing BBs to his wide receivers, hitting them in the chest and letting them go operate after the catch, which is a staple in this Hugh Freeze offense. If you're Auburn, you're really excited about what you saw from Hank Brown. You have Walker White coming in that 2024 class. The quarterback position from a young standpoint, I think you're really excited about. Now, looking at the rest of this Auburn offense, the offensive line was a problem. Obviously, the run game was non-existent for the Auburn Tigers. And that wasn't a result of Jaquez Hunter not being a guy. I mean, he is breaking tackles. He's doing what he can. The Auburn offensive line just not resetting the line of scrimmage. Not the run schemes weren't good. There were a lot of blown assignments. And more importantly, in pass protection, the blitz pickups were a disaster, right? You look at when Maryland set guys in the A and B gap or sending guys off the edge, and whether this is on the true freshman center, whether this is on Peyton Thorne at quarterback, or whether it's on the running backs and blitz pickup, that happened. Like, there were way too many free runners getting into the backfield, kind of disrupting pockets for Auburn against Maryland. That needs to get addressed. And there's one thing that's maybe you're optimistic about is that I don't think it's necessarily a physical problem as much as you just need to get on the practice field and understand and communicate with those five guys up front. All right, where are we seeing pressure and where do we need to pick it up? Because that was the problem you saw. It wasn't as much of like a tackle just physically not being capable to pick up his assignment and hold up and pass pro as much as, yeah, that linebacker showed pressure. Nobody picked him up. He's free runner at the quarterback. And so that stuff needs to get addressed in the offseason. And then at the wide receiver position, I think you just saw what we've talked about all year for Auburn, and that is the lack of playmakers in that room. They're guys that they're not creating much separation. They're not making much happen after the catch. They're not making plays down the field in some of those 50-50 contested balls. They're not tracking the football down the field very well. And we knew that. And it's going to get better with a guy like Cam Coleman, Perry Thompson coming in. They're going to address it in the transfer portal. But I think it was pretty evident that Auburn needs to go out and kind of get some more talent and some depth in that wide receiver room that was kind of a problem all year for the Auburn Tigers. And so I think the next thing, I want to touch on the defense really quick. Really excited about this defense. And I know the score, 31 points, doesn't necessarily reflect in that first quarter was a disaster in terms of missed tackles, blown assignments. That was a really young defense. And in the second, third, and fourth quarter, I thought they settled in a meaningful way. And the defense that you saw in the second half against Maryland with some of those young guys stepping up, I think you're excited about where that defense is heading into 2024. And I get there was some young guys that missed some tackles, blew some assignments in that first quarter, but you saw them settle in and play some really good football. I mean, Maryland only had 310 yards of total offense, and probably 170 of that came in the first quarter. So you evaluate Auburn the last three quarters, I think you're really excited about the young guys. And again, it was some young guys getting some early playing time, and they're not necessarily used to doing that. If those guys play four quarters of complete football, that defense looks solid, and they're doing a really nice job in the high school ranks, continuing to get the talent. I was really impressed with the defense. Now, the conversation I want to have for Auburn is, what do you do with this quarterback room? You had Peyton Thorne this year, and he was a guy that just never really, I don't think, ever optimized this offense. And you were kind of maybe hopeful that as the season progressed, Peyton Thorne would kind of settle in the Hugh Freeze offense, and you never really saw that. And I think this bowl game kind of reflected that he's probably not the guy heading into 2024. And so you have to look at, what do you want this quarterback room to look like heading into next season? Peyton Thorne, Holden Garner, Hank Brown, you add Walker White. I'm going to guess that one quarterback leaves in the transfer portal. It's not going to be Hank Brown. It's not going to be Walker White. So whether it's Holden, whether it's Peyton Thorne, one of those guys might leave. And so if you're Auburn, what are you trying to get this quarterback room to look like? And in my mind, you want to add a very capable, experienced quarterback that can come in and win football games for Auburn in 2024. And so you look at this quarterback room, I think you're really excited about Walker White and Hank Brown and what those guys might look like in 2025 and in 2026. But you look at 2024, the most important thing for Auburn is winning football games and establishing that winning culture. The team needs to know what it's like to win games. And so you're looking at some guys that at the quarterback position can come in and win games for Auburn in 2024. The first guy, and I think this would be such a dynamite get for Hugh Freeze in this offense, is KJ Jefferson. I mean, going into his 6th year of college football, he's thrown for over 7,900 yards, 67 touchdowns, 18 interceptions. We obviously know what he can do running the football, over 1,800 yards of rushing yards. This is a guy that I think, one, from a schematic standpoint, fits exactly what Hugh Freeze wants in his quarterback, a guy that can work outside the pocket, can be involved in the run game, but more importantly, a guy that has shown that he can play a very high level of football in the SEC. I think many Auburn fans probably feel this way. You have KJ Jefferson starting in 2024. This offense is going to look meaningfully better than it did in 2023. And the thing I'm focusing on KJ Jefferson is not only is he elevating this team and helping this team win football games in 2024, he's a veteran guy that kind of serves as a bridge quarterback for Hank Brown and Walker White. If you don't add a quarterback into this room, it's Peyton Thorne and then some young cats. And I don't think you want that. I think you want an experienced quarterback that can win games, help develop some of the younger quarterbacks on this roster. And then you look towards 2025 and you're feeling really good about whether Walker White or Hank Brown is going to be ready to win games for this Auburn program. But in 2024, you want to add an experienced quarterback that is going to elevate the quarterback play in 2024. I think KJ Jefferson, certainly that guy. And you look at KJ Jefferson and what he's done at Arkansas in an offense that flat out stunk in 2023. The offensive line was bad. The wide receiver play was horrible. He's a guy that I think could have a lot of success with some of the young talent that's going to be around him in that Hugh Freeze offense. Now, the next guy I want to talk about, and this is a little bit more off the beaten path here, but Auburn fans, just hear me out for a minute here. Jayden de Laura, a guy that started 2 years at Washington State, transferred to Arizona, was phenomenal in 2022, got banged up, lost his starting job to an absolute stud at Arizona. They got a young quarterback who is very, very good at Noah Fafita. Jayden de Laura is a gunslinger. And at the very least, what you're getting from a guy in Jayden de Laura, you're not going to see a boring offense. This is an offense that's going to have a lot of production. Now, the one bugaboo on Jayden de Laura, he's thrown for over 8,500 yards, a 64% completion percentage, 63 touchdowns. The one bugaboo you have is the 31 interceptions. He's a guy that is going to try to make some big-time throws. He is going to try to push the ball down the football field. You're going to see some mistakes. Now, thing you're optimistic about going into his 5th year of college football, maybe he limits those mistakes and kind of progresses as from taking care of the football standpoint. But one thing that if you're Auburn, you're excited about is you can see this offense open up. Because one thing Jayden de Laura is going to give you is he's going to allow you to call the full playbook. Because there's not a throw that he can't make on the football field. And quite frankly, there's not a throw that he's afraid to make. And I think at Peyton Thorne, sometimes you watch Peyton Thorne, he's skittish in the pocket. He doesn't want to push the ball down the field. Jayden de Laura has all the confidence in the world. And so if you're Auburn and looking at this offense, if it's run by Jayden de Laura, you might see some more mistakes. You might see some more interceptions, but you're also going to see a lot more explosive plays. You're going to see a lot more offensive production. Jayden de Laura would be a guy that I'm very interested to see if Auburn pursues in the portal. And the one thing I'll close on is I think it's very important to, if you're going to get a quarterback in the transfer portal, get him in for spring practice. I mean, I think one of the big problems with the Peyton Thorne experiment at Auburn is he missed all of spring practice. And then he was in a quarterback battle with Holden Garner and is not getting all the quarterback one reps and still learning the offense. And you're going into the season with a quarterback that doesn't have a strong grasp of the offense to start the season, and that's a killer. You get a guy like KJ Jefferson or Jayden de Laura in for spring practice, getting him in those meetings, getting him those reps in practice. You're going to see a quarterback that has a little bit more command of the offense. So if you're going to get a quarterback in the transfer portal, I think it needs to be a quarterback that is in for spring practice and has the opportunity to kind of get a grasp of this offense. Those are some of my takeaways. Again, very excited about where this program is going to go under Hugh Freeze. I I think they should address the quarterback in the transfer portal. Would love to hear from you guys. Appreciate you guys checking the boys out again. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel, and we'll talk to y'all later.